Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm here to give you my unbiased opinion about Evil Dead Burn. Now, I had the absolute pleasure to see this movie over the weekend with my brother, and I've got some notes. Now, it wasn't a bad movie. It was okay. It was mediocre. I rate this at the bottom of my Evil Dead hierarchy list. It's Evil Dead Rise, in my opinion, was better. Not by much, but I kind of liked Evil Dead Rise because they did it in the one location, whereas Evil Dead Burn, they just kind of went a little bit all over the place. The main bulk of the story takes place in the dead guy's house. It's his family's house. It's the mom, the dad, the brother, the brother's wife, the deceased brother's wife, and they're just kind of like having it's like an after funeral get together. Not spoiler alert if you didn't figure that out. The one brother dies. Sorry, my bad. But I mean, my Evil Dead list goes Army of Darkness, which is probably one of my top three favorite movies. Then Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 2013, Evil Dead Rise, Evil Dead Burn. And then Ash versus Evil Dead, the TV show, is. I'd probably put that in between Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead. I've always been a big fan of Evil Dead. I remember watching Army of Darkness on the Sci-Fi Channel back in like the mid '90s, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, Bruce Campbell, who the hell is this guy? This is awesome. And then as the years went on and on and on, and I waited for Evil Dead 4 forever. They were like, let's reboot it with a remake of Evil Dead, which the director kind of put out there. He was like, I don't want you to consider this a remake. Consider it like a sequel. And I was like, yeah, okay. I can I'll do that. Now with Evil Dead Wrath is going to be the next entry in the Evil Dead franchise. Comes out I think in 2028. And then they're supposed to take Evil Dead Rise and Evil Dead Burn and kind of join them together and kind of make a sequel off of those two, which I thought was kind of cool. If you stayed for the end credits, it kind of recalls back some of the characters from Evil Dead Rise. And I was like, that's that's a good way to kind of add everything up. But back to the topic at hand. Evil Dead Burn. I it was it was okay. Like if you're a big Evil Dead fan, watching it on the big screen was awesome. If you're not and you're just looking for like a horror movie to pass the time, I would probably wait to rent it instead of going to go see it. It kept true to the Evil Dead franchise. There was a lot of gore, a lot of moments you were just like, ooh. There was a couple parts in the movie where there was a genuine laugh, and I thought those parts were hilarious. I don't know if people kind of have the same sense of humor as me, but it wasn't. I'm not going to say it's a straight horror movie just because of those two parts, but straight horror for me is like where evil lurks. That is 100% just a horror movie. There's no funny parts about it at all. So that to me is like horror. And then Evil Dead Burn because they threw in those comedic moments to kind of lighten the tension. I was like, okay, well this is not 100% a horror movie. It's like 95% horror, 5%. Haha, that's funny. I will of course be buying this to add it to my collection. Overall, I think I'd give Evil Dead Rise like a 7 or a 6.5 out of 10. And this one I'd probably give a 6 just because there were a couple parts. One, when the dad and the dog become possessed and they're just sitting outside for like half the movie. It's like what are they doing? And then the guy and his wife and his deceased brother's wife are sitting there kind of trying to fight off the mom. And that was it. They were fighting one. All three of them were getting the shit beat out of them. It was nice. I like that part. But I think they knew that they were having that many problems with just the one, that if they put the mom, the dad, and the dog in the house all together, that the movie would have been over in about 5 minutes. It would have been like, we can't logistically do this because we want this movie to be, I think it was just over 2 hours long. So it's a little bit longer for an Evil Dead movie. And I mean, ahead, I like the script for the most part. There were some parts where you're kind of like, that's not a great line. You shouldn't have put that in there. And then there were a couple parts where you're like, ooh, that's a really good line. I'm really glad they put that in there. The music was really good. The sound effects, the like actual cinematography of the movie, I really liked. It was different than a lot of movies that are coming out now. But like overall, you put everything together, I'd only give it a 6 out of 10. The acting was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about. And honestly, if you're just a massive Evil Dead fan, I would go see it on the big screen or wait for it to come out and buy it. I'm a massive Evil Dead fan. I've got all of them, so I'm gonna buy it when it comes out. But other than that, I would just rent it, call it a day. But you know, I just wanted to get on here and tell you guys what I thought about it. So I will see you guys next time.